witnessed may have been alone. Uncle Jay's podcast is a space cadet's home.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Uncle Jay here. A couple of y'all wanted to go on the war thing. Man, I wasn't going to go on that. All right, but we're going on that. I guess this one was from the beginning, and then we got an update from 5 hours ago on this next clip. Okay, so this one was older. So let's check this out. And thank you guys, man, for subbing up, man. We appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this Saturday. We begin with breaking news in the war in Iran, now entering its third week. Hundreds have been killed, millions displaced, billions of dollars spent, the war expanding across the region. The U.S. military says 13 service members have been killed. Tonight, President Trump renewed calls for countries that rely on oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz to send warships to secure the shipping route. The strategic waterway now largely blocked for oil exports. CBS's Charlie D'Agata is in Tel Aviv and leads us off tonight. Charlie, good evening.
Good evening, Jarika. Tonight, President Trump is calling on countries from the UK and France, South Korea, and Japan, even China, to help keep open the Strait of Hormuz, that vital shipping lane, as Iran tries to strangle the flow of oil from this region. Thick black plumes of smoke rose into the sky above the United Arab Emirates, the major oil port of Fujairah, in flames as the Gulf states bear the brunt of a war they didn't start. President Trump said a U.S. bombing raid totally obliterated military targets on Iran's Karg Island, a key oil facility, while leaving its energy infrastructure untouched. Iran, in turn, threatened to target U.S.-linked regional oil facilities. It's already attacked at least 16 tankers and other vessels. In Iraq, smoke was seen coming from the vicinity of the U.S. Embassy compound in Baghdad's Green Zone. We're also learning more tonight about some of the 6 American aircrew killed when their KC-135 refueling aircraft crashed in an apparent mid-air collision over Iraq on Thursday. Tech Sergeant Tyler Simmons, 28, of Columbus, was one of 3 Ohio Air National Guard members to have died, according to his family. Sergeant Simmons was a boom operator. This video showing him refueling a fighter jet mid-flight. His mom, Cheryl, said she spoke with her son just the day before.
He was truly an amazing man. And to do the job as an air refueler is a special person. He's just that guy, and he would do anything for you.
While in Iran,
man, people
Red
passing
Crescent
away
workers
all
recovered
over,
the
man.
bodies
This
of
sucks.
the latest round of U.S. airstrikes, the death toll climbing to more than 1,400, according to the regime. So Pentagon sources tell CBS News that among thousands more U.S. troops that are on their way to the Middle East is a contingent of around 2,500 Marines. Jarika spent plenty of time on those amphibious ships, and a ground assault is just one of the options that they're trained and equipped for.
Wow, man, huh? So that canal they were talking about, I think recently they were going through that canal, if y'all see on the news. So they said they were going to do it, and they did it, okay? So this other clip, guys, this is like 5 hours ago or something, man. So this is an update. Let's check this one out. Here we go.
Taking a live look over in Beirut, Lebanon, as we are tracking the latest developments in the Middle East. Gulf Arab states reporting new missile and drone attacks on Sunday after Iran threatened to widen its campaign and further expand the war with the United States and Israel, which is now in its third week. Israel and the U.S. attacked Iran on February 28th, saying they were striking nuclear military sites and encouraging the Iranian people to rise against their leaders. Iran has responded with attacks against Israel and neighboring states in the Persian Gulf. Now, the war, which shows no signs of ending soon, has upended global air travel, disrupted oil exports from the region, and sent fuel prices rising across the country and across the world. So a lot to keep up with here, again, as this war is entering its third week. So joining us next to discuss everything that we need to know so far is Sinan Sidi. He is a senior fellow with the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Sinan, good morning. Good to have you.
Hey, good morning. Thank you.
So, as I mentioned, there are a lot of developments, really minute by minute sometimes. But from your assessment, what would you say is probably the most consequential development from the last 12 to 24 hours?
Wow, what to pick from? I would say that what all eyes are right now on the extent to which the Strait of Hormuz is probably either being closed off, is closed off, or making good to be closed off by the Iranians, whether it's through mining or whether it is essentially through initiatives such as essentially preventing ships going through. Let's be clear, when the Iranians say that they closed or will close the Strait of Hormuz, it's not like a chain that they pull across the strait, right? Ships can be targeted. Ships can essentially be, attacked by military vessels, and therefore, just the closure of this critical strait can and will result in a further surge of oil prices and energy commodity prices across the world, simply because it's going to be a choke point. It's also going to impact the US's adversaries. China is one of the biggest importers of Iranian oil. The fact that the strait is closed off,
Apparently,
or the fact
gas
that
is
the war
going
is
up,
still
ladies and
continuing,
gentlemen.
means that China is now down a significant amount of resource appropriation.
Stop all
So
this
that's one of the big things
nonsense.
I'm
People
watching for. The other thing
dying.
I'm watching for is just from the operational level. There are swirling rumors suggesting that the new Ayatollah, the new supreme leader of Iran, Mujtaba Khamenei, his status is still unknown.
I just wanted to put up this. It's a photo, some video there that we have of the new supreme leader. So that is something that we're also looking for any new information. I believe the new supreme leader released their first official statement earlier this week, but still a clear picture of him has not been seen, at least a live video, for the most part. Sinan, right off the top of this conversation, I did mention some of the moves that Iran is making right now, especially given the fact that it is continuing to attack some of those neighboring states. From your assessment, also, could this officially be classified as a regional war? What would need to happen for it to just be called that?
No, I think you've got it head on. I mean, you can call it a regional war simply because Iran is now taking the task and attacking just about any other country which it sees as a potential to put pressure on the United States and Israel to stop this campaign. We have seen relentless attacks against GCC countries in the Gulf, targeting their critical infrastructure, their oil refineries and depots across the region, as well as civilian targets like airports in the region. All this is all designed on the part of the regime to target and put pressure on countries surrounding Iran, which have marketed themselves for decades, saying, "Look, we are outside of the troubles of the Middle East. We are stable, safe havens of, economic prosperity." And even if the fact that they're being targeted is basically an attempt to undermine that certainty and get these countries to sort of put up a flag and say to the United States, "Hey, stop this! This is really hurting us." But this is all.
And what's your guys' thoughts on that statement? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Love to hear, man. Let's get back on it.
Also, part of Iran's own strategy. I mean, a lot of people have referred to this as this sort of mosaic strategy, right? Whereby, in the absence of a unified government in Iran, following the killing of the former supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, the command structures and the orders given to strike countries or targets deemed by Iran as legitimate are probably being taken by field commanders, senior IRGC commanders, not necessarily by a central government. And that's the way to see this. We don't actually know who is in charge of Iran at this moment. Is it the supreme leader that's just been appointed? Or, in my estimation, more likely one is that this is essentially a country now run by the most dangerous entity in the country, which is the IRGC. Its core ideological sort of guardian vanguard military that's doing all this damage.
Going off of the
So they don't even know who's running it right now? Unbelievable. Like, we don't know who's running it. So, uh-oh.
that last point that you made, how important is it for the world to know who really is in charge right now in terms of directing the strategy from Iran? Is that going to change any kind of strategy from the US, let's say Israel or other neighboring states, when they figure out how to deal with this entire situation?
Yeah, I think that's a real tough question for decision makers in Washington or Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, wherever they look at this, because once Ali Khamenei was targeted and killed, we assumed, or at least calculated, that this would put immense pressure on the regime to capitulate and put down its weapons, or at least find a way to the negotiating table. And there have been rumors suggesting that, the new leader or the new leadership of Iran could be interested in that, but we've seen no positive signs to suggest that's going to take place. The problem is Iran has a continuity of government. It has processes in place. It has, unlike when we deposed Saddam Hussein in Iraq, which essentially resulted in years, whereby they have contingencies in place. Just because the Ali Khamenei is dead, now we have a continuity of government, whether it's effective or not. It is still in the fight. It is still targeting allied countries. It is engulfing the region in what some people have referred to as a ring of fire, and this could potentially get worse. What they've done is they're essentially targeting not just Gulf countries, but there have been 3 missile attacks against a NATO country, Iran's immediate western neighbor, Turkey. And there are worries now that suggesting that Turkey might be dragged into this war, which would be a real game changer in the conflict, simply because Turkey is the overwhelming military power in the region. It does not want to go to war with Iran. I'm sorry. But if it does, then what we're looking at is a significantly expanded conflict, which has the potential to bring NATO into this.
But why are they firing rockets at other people, man? They got enough going on.
Is there any pressure point that we can put on militarily to collapse this regime? And right now, I don't think we have a clear answer.
I want to take us out to a live image that we have over in Beirut, Lebanon, because as we focus a lot on possible military strategy and how many countries could continue to get dragged into this war, there's also another point of the civilians that have been caught here in the crossfire. We're talking about mass displacement across several of these countries. Sinan, what do we know about these civilian casualties, the displacement?
Man, that place is packed, man. Look at that. You can't look at that.
And how hard is it to get accurate estimates of those figures as this conflict persists?
So I think that's a great question, because you're focusing on a country immediate to Israel's north, Lebanon, which the Israelis obviously have been striking since the beginning of this war in retaliation for Hezbollah's barrage of attacks against Israel. Now, what's important to note here is Lebanon is, and the government of Lebanon is essentially enmeshed with an Iranian proxy group, a significant terrorist entity that Iran has backed, built, and groomed for decades, which is Hezbollah. And Hezbollah is not this sort of detached, militia group or terrorist group that just sort of has offices and, independent buildings, if I can call it that, or a sort of roaming sort of uniform military. That skyline that you're showing there, Hezbollah is deeply integrated into the very structure, both the physical structure of Lebanon and, in this case, Beirut, houses, buildings, office buildings where they have rocket launches, where they have, armed militiamen, etc., hiding and essentially targeting Israel. So the best way to describe Hezbollah and its role in this conflict,
I don't even see no grass.
This is basically part of the Lebanese state. It is integrated, and even the Lebanese authorities have admitted that they cannot fully control this. And as a result of that, what we're seeing for the death of Ali Khamenei, this militia group has really started, in revenge, targeting Israel with barrage of ceaseless military attacks, rocket attacks, and Israel's responding in kind. As for the civilian casualty, because Hezbollah is so integrated into the structures of the cities, the buildings, the neighborhoods, etc., that's part of their calculation. They're trying to essentially increase casualty strikes because they're not fighting this war in a conventional military.
So is that that's a rocket that hit in there, right? With that smoke, I guess. I don't know. I guess it hit in there. See, it's so packed up, man. I mean, this is not good, guys. I don't want to see people losing their lives, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully they figure this out.
The United States or Israel would fight, as in military to military. What they're doing is hiding and using human shields in their very cities, basically saying, I don't care about civilian life. I'm going to continue fighting against Israel. It doesn't matter who strikes me back and who gets killed in my country, because that's the way I do war.
Sinan, there is so much to follow within this conflict as it continues here right now in its third week. But my final question for you would be, looking ahead throughout the next several days, or we can even scale it back throughout the next several hours, what do you really have your eye on? And is it more likely that we could see de-escalation or an escalation in this fighting?
Yeah, I think it's such a fluid and dynamic, evolving conflict. It's difficult to say what will essentially, or what could essentially take place. We do know that from the perspective of the United States and Israel, that we have our own pressure points. I mean, your report just before me with the Israeli foreign minister, I mean, you know, they asked him point blank, are you afraid of running out of interceptors? It's this sort of Iron Dome missiles that keeps Iranian missiles from essentially striking Israeli cities. They said no, but that's a calculation that they have to make. And for the United States, a calculation that we're making is just how much ordnance do we have to continue this sort of military operation and sustain it? Because everything that we launch and utilize are very expensive, essentially munitions that we're using. And the problem with all this is Iran is not really, or the regime is not really accountable to a public or public pressure to either cease or continue the war. It's completely independent, has no pressure points. Whereas the United States is accountable to a public and public opinion. And right now, obviously, pressure points for us domestically are the rising cost of goods, based on the rise of pricing of gas. And this is going to be a significant pressure point going forward. I mean, the price of gas at the pump is increasing non-stop over the last few days since this conflict has begun. It's likely to continue to that. So it depends what the pressure points are domestically and internally for us and the Israelis. And essentially, is there going to be some decisive blow that could really bring this country down to its knees, or at least get their people to rise up against them? We just don't know that. We do know that we have struck the key oil refinery and depot and distribution terminal over the last several hours. Again, that's a big loss for Iran. But again, I don't think the regime cares. If it's for them a last man standing issue, they might just continue at this as long as they have to. And every day that they survive is a win for them. And for us, we need to essentially determine what our exit strategy is and what will count as a win and how we explain that to the American people.
City.
All right, guys, there you have it, man. That's the new update now. The other one before was an older video, so you know, okay? We wanted to bring that to you. See what your thoughts are on this. Me, personally, I wanted to stop and end the war. Hopefully it does. But I don't know, right? I don't know. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching, man. And we appreciate it very, very much. And want each and every one of you to have an awesome, blessed day from Uncle Jay.
Insectoids and cryptoids or interdimensional reptoids, mind control kids, toys, aluminum hats, glasses for the masses.